Stage 1, Spiritual Awakening. In the first stage of ego death, we begin to wake up to life. Our process of spiritual awakening might be triggered by an existential crisis, a tragedy, a chronic illness, or simply the natural process of soulful maturing. When we experience a spiritual awakening, we begin to search for more depth in life. Often, we ask big questions such as, what is my purpose? What is the meaning of life? And what happens after death? Spiritual awakenings are triggered by the sensation that something profound is missing in life, and they're accompanied by feelings of depression and anxiety. Stage 2, the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul is inseparable from the spiritual awakening process. When we experience the dark night, we become extremely conscious of our separation from ourselves, other people, and the divine. How does the dark night often lead to ego death? The dark night of the soul is a period when we feel utterly lost, lonely, and isolated from others. It is the accumulation or culmination of our suffering. Deep down, we know something has to drastically change in our life, but we don't know what or where to look. Often, this experience culminates in a sudden pop of the ego bubble, like the cork from a wine bottle suddenly releasing pressure. Stage 3, the spiritual seeker. Eventually, after experiencing a spiritual awakening and dark night of the soul, we stumble into the field of spirituality. We start experimenting with different spiritual practices and find that some alleviate our suffering. We become obsessed with reducing the suffering we have been carrying and explore many different fields such as energy healing, Zen, yoga, astrology, mysticism, etc. Stage 4, Satori. The word Satori is a Zen Buddhist word that means momentary enlightenment. Satori is a small glimpse into your true nature, or consciousness itself, a moment when your ego completely dissolves. For some, this experience is scary, and spiritual growth stagnates. But for others, the Satori experience is deeply life-changing, and spiritual growth continues. Many describe Satori as being the result of a Kundalini awakening. Stage 5, the elder soul. After a certain period of time, we begin to develop spiritual discernment. We discover the gimmicks and spiritual bypassing practices that keep us trapped in the cycle of pain, fear, and separation, and learn practices that open us to the divine. As we begin to experience more soulful maturity and reconnect with the higher self, we learn the virtues of self-discipline, patience, and focus. Stage 6, Dissolution and Deconstruction. In this stage, we begin to surrender all that we are not. This stage is not just about identifying our destructive and limiting beliefs and behavior patterns, but actually letting go of them and letting the light in. Grace, discipline, trust, courage, non-attachment, humility, and love all play an important role in this process. Stage 7, the end of the search. Finally, we come to a stop. We realize that all that we are, and all that we need, can be found right now. The search to become something, to lose something, to find something, and to accomplish something perishes. We see through the illusion of looking for truth, joy, peace, and love in any place outside of ourselves. We see the truth that we are mirrored in all beings and all things. We experience interconnectedness and oneness. While the ego still exists, we become aware of the ego as simply a tool, not the truth of who we are. Transcending duality and the grip of the ego, we develop the capacity to give unconditional love and acceptance. This is the state of ultimate inner peace, freedom, and what people refer to as enlightenment. Yet those who experience this know that no possible label or mental construct can describe such an experience. The end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. We shall not cease from exploration. And the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started, and know the place for the first time. FAQ about ego death. What does ego death feel like? Ego death is an intense experience that can alternate between feelings of horror and ecstatic bliss. While one person may experience nothing but terror, another may experience only cosmic oneness. But often, most people experience both extremes while undergoing ego death. What happens after ego death? Usually, ego death is such a paradigm-shifting and mind-blowing experience that a person's life will change forever. What happens after ego death often involves a lot of soul-searching. The person will be inspired to seek a deeper sense of meaning and purpose and will embark on a spiritual quest for answers. Most people forget about the importance of spiritual integration after this experience, which is crucial to make the most of it. How to experience ego death? Some people deliberately seek out ego death to try and achieve a mystical experience. However, a word of caution, this experience can be extremely dangerous for those unprepared. See, spiritual emergency. Once you've checked your intentions, you'll be pleased to know that there are quite a few paths to ego death. Some examples include attending long meditation retreats, entering altered states of consciousness through mystical paths like dancing or chanting, and ingesting psychedelic substances. For serious spiritual seekers, almost every mystical tradition offers pathways to ego death. Ego death is a serious, purging, profound, and shattering experience. It is so deep and so beyond anything we have experienced in this life that it changes our perception of existence in a single moment. I hope these stages have helped you to understand it better. Finally, I'll leave you with a beautiful quote to ponder about death itself. Death is a stripping away of all that is not you. The secret of life is to die before you die, and find that there is no death.